Unova is one of the most iconic regions Pokemon has ever made. From the first time we ever had 3D landscapes to fully animated sprites, to the first and only time we ever had seasons because, God forbid, Game Freak ever keeps something around for more than 2 seconds. And among those things that I can never get out of my head is a peculiar tune, one that sends shivers down my spine. I mean, yes, this one too, but I mean this one. That's right! For today's video, we shall be diving into Unova's Elite Four, discussing what about their character designs and the ambience that surrounds them that makes this four the peak of Pokemon character design. You might be wondering, what the hell is up with the title card? Allow me to explain. Generation 5 was the start of the gym leaders having a secondary job added to their concepts. Well, some of them did have jobs before, but apparently just being a Pokemon trainer don't pay the bills no more. This was done in service of making the gym leaders less one-note and more diverse. This of course also applies to the Elite Four, but I actually think that the gym leaders as a whole have stronger character designs. Mostly due to the fact that they actually exist outside of their gym, unlike some people. However, there is a certain advantage that being a member of the Elite Four affords you. Recency bias. Depending on your adventure, you may find some gym leaders easier to get through, while some others will have you on your knees begging for death. This influences how much you may actually remember them.
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is.
The Elite Four, however, does not have this problem. They are treated as a level above by their narrative and by their surroundings. They are meant to be the strongest trainers, the enders of your Nuzlockes, the final test before the grand finale. Although both trainer classes are given their own personalized stage to shine, the Elite Four are given smaller yet grander rooms. Hospital rooms, apparently. Jesus, anyone who plays the more recent games will look at you like you're crazy when you tell them that Game Freak actually used to care. The point is, the Elite Four are the creme de la creme, and therefore, they embody perfectly what made Gen 5 the greatest character designs yet. Starting with Shauntal is the ghost specialist of the Elite Four, with her career as a writer being a play on words as the ghost writer. I guess the jokes really do write themselves here. Let's be honest, she is probably the reason why most of you are here, and I can see why. She plays to the quirky, cute bookworm archetype, thanks to the big round glasses, miniskirt, and black tights, which also gives her a bit of a goth GF vibe. Bulbapedia has it that her big color is actually in the shape of a cat's head, with the pink brooch standing in for its nose. And I think it's honestly quite brilliant. She has all the traits of a girl obsessed with the occult, SCP fanfics, and cats, which genuinely sells the vibe of a ghost-type trainer. If anything, I think that maybe the over-the-top nature of her fit may be a bit of a detriment towards her, as it reads a little bit too high fashion for her character. Not that she really has any, as we don't really get to see her outside of the confines of her room, but well, that is a problem that is all too common for the Elite. Fortunately, this can be made up by the presence of a room, as the way a person keeps their space can do some effective storytelling. Environmental storytelling, if you will. To the shock of no one, Shauntal's room is a library. But not just any library. Never mind the big taste of purple, you get the feeling that this is Shauntal's personal collection. The fact that there are books on the floor everywhere, stacked in different places here and there, and even a couple bookcases that have some entries missing. This is the space of an unorganized yet systematical mind. Everything has a space, it just doesn't make sense to anyone but her. And if you ever clean it up, she will lose track of where everything is. In Black and White 1, the space is more decorated to feel like a haunted mansion, which in my opinion, it was a bit of a mess. It added a more spooky setting, but it introduced some additional messiness like a broken staircase and cobwebs, which kind of feels against what her design says. She wears gloves because she has to handle old books all the time, and the nature of her symmetrical look tells me that she takes great care to make sure her stuff is in great condition, even if it's spread around everywhere. Thankfully, the sequel went harder into the library look. It made the background rows upon rows of bookcases, and the mess present is a byproduct of her ghost friends being spooked rather than just decoration. If I had any actual critique about her, I find it kind of hilarious that the shoes do such a good job to call your attention to the bottom part of her outfit, only for her design to be so plain. It's like, go girl, give us nothing. But honestly, that's just minor nitpicking. Now, this is where you start to notice a pattern with the Unova Elite 4, and it is that they all borrowed Elisa's stylus, because this is actually quite a high fashion take on a martial artist garb. The powder blue bubble vest paired with the orange oversized sweatpants, and the actually kinda chic use of a mouthguard as an accessory, really makes him stand out amongst the other fighting type specialists. Don't get me wrong, this is still the same trope that Grimsley likes to repeat among fighting type specialists. Apparently, the only way that you can represent the type known for physical prowess and discipline is sports where you punch and kick people. And bare feet, for some reason. And thus, coupled with his bleach blonde hair, you get the feeling that this man might be a little bit of a show-off, always ready and willing to battle and put on a spectacle. Unlike Shauntal, the over-the-top nature of his design is aiding to showcase what he is about: loud, proud, and bold. Supposedly, the original intent of his design is to be themed after both a Street Fighter and a tiger, according to designer Yusuke Omura, and I don't know. With the way that his eyebrows grow around his head, I guess I can kinda see that. Honestly, I'm just trying to make sense of this particular design choice because, girl, what the hell. His room is a fighting cage, fitting for somebody who's meant to be a street fighter, but it's not just any fighting cage. It is one glimmering with spotlights and seating meant for a grand audience. In black and white too, would maintain the same vibe but with a stronger tone of aggressiveness thanks to all the machinery's sudden movements. Almost as though he is really impatient to beat you into the ground and show off. Which is perhaps why I can't help but feel a dissonance to what his design is versus the seriousness of his character acting. His way of speaking is not boisterous or irreverent, it is restrained and poised. His clothes on stage describe somebody who lives for the applause of the audience, and yet the man himself feels like he could not care less about that. My assumption is that they try to marry the conviction and discipline of the fighting type with the inherent showmanship that street fighters have, and it just doesn't quite work well for me. It's still better than all the other reheated matches that came before though. Caitlyn, or Catleya, as I used to know her because I am Mexican, and the Spanish localization has a tendency to change the name of characters for some reason. Did you know that Steven Stone is called Máximo Peñas in Spanish? Pinche nombre más norteño, güey. It's like when Latin American dubs get to go off scripts for a bit. Anyways, Caitlyn, the main and frankly only issue that I have with her is the generational loss of aura between the first game and the sequel. We went from her effortlessly picking us up with her psychic powers and bringing us up to her chambers, to her coming out of a celestial rose like it's a show in Las Vegas. And it loses all of the storytelling that the room is meant to tell you about her. We first find Caitlyn in a luxurious bed, dreaming of a challenger worthy enough to interrupt her sleep, which is a key part of her characterization. Dreams are often linked to the psychic type, as they allow us to surpass the shackles of reality. And inside of one's mind, one is fully able to control their surroundings surroundings. Thus, she is dressed appropriately for a good snooze, donning a camisole, a sleep robe, slippers, and a shawl just in case it gets a little chilly at night. Of course, if this was all there was to her, it would be a little basic, but this is where the other part of her character comes in, as we know she is filthy rich. Caitlyn and Grimsley are the only ones who have got more screen time outside of their games. In Generation 4, you can actually find her as the owner of the Battle Castle, alongside her butler, The Rock. You don't really fight Caitlyn, of course. She has servants to do so for her, but it really helps you see the context that surrounds her in black and white. She sleeps in a huge bed, she has a big hat that resembles a crown, and her ginormous coif hair is being held up from the ground by her own psychic power in the form of 2 butterflies. She quite literally does not have to lift a single finger to do anything. She either has people do it for her, or she does it with the power of her own mind. Which is why her just floating in the middle of a celestial room inside a rose doesn't do anything for her character. It's elegant, I guess, but it traits what I love most about her and that just doesn't sit right with me. All of this aside, Caitlyn is probably the best character designer of the whole game. All of what I told you is something you could see at first glance, and that is the hallmark of a great character design. Aside from my immediate impulse to commit gay-on-gay crimes the moment that he enters my field of vision, Grimsley intrigues me because of his appearance in later generations. Our dark type specialist is a gambler, which is quite apparent due to the level of flamboyance that his clothes display. Okay. And here's where the concept of old money versus new money arises, because Grimsley is both. New money are those who have newfound wealth via their own businesses, fame from becoming a TikToker, or in this case, gambling. They tend to be loud and visible, often making big spectacles out of the need for validation and status. Old money then is where people seek to build a legacy through acts of quiet luxury. Like that friendly uncle who gives you like $100 bill to buy candy. In the case of this twink, he originally came from old money, as he was part of a wealthy family that fell into ruin, which, according to Bulbapedia, led him to have a gambling addiction, becoming then new money as he tries to regain what he lost. His suit is tight but well tailored. There are no big shoulder pads or extravagant shapes, and yet the lapels and the end of the sleeves and legs are colored in bright red and white. It is almost as though he had it customized to be more embellished and eye-catching than it originally was. Add in the yellow scarf, and what do you get? A man who wants to show off his wealth that he made just the night before. Along with the wing-like hair and the overall sharp-shaped language, you get the face of a daredevil. As for his room, it is a lavish lounge with red drapes and black leather couch. This is then replaced in black and white too by an arena hanging in golden chains. But perhaps the most interesting change is the stairs, which are littered with these shadow black and red claws that close shut the moment that you tap into the table. It is true symbolism about how hard it can be to quit gambling once you start, and how sinister it can truly be. Later on, once you meet him in Sun and Moon, you get to see the new money become old money. And the man himself, well, he's older too. Sporting his great hair, black and white yukata, and his yellow scarf replaced with a black one. Of course, he still enjoys a little gold here and there, but the old gambler is no longer screaming for recognition because he already has it. No need to say your name when everybody already knows it. As you can see, Unova's Elite Four are among the best designs that Pokemon can offer, a combination of everything that Gen 5 did right. Amazing character designs, incredible environmental work, and challenging battles. If only they appear in the story as much as the gym leaders did. I hope that Come Pokemon Winds and Waves will get a cast that is just as incredible as this one, with an amazing story that will finally make me stop saying that Generation 5 is the last time that Game Freak actually tried.